Hello, welcome back to another in a series called Excerpts of a Spiritual um, Ascension. This is some details from my own 5-year experience that I went through from 2020 through 2025, exactly 5 years that I went through a spiritual ascension. And it's kind of like I've been prompted by Spirit to bring this to you to help out those who are going through similar experiences. Um, for this one, I wanted to talk about resistance. So there's a big lesson you will learn in when the divine is telling you to take a different path than what you are taking. And I had to learn this lesson over and over and over again until I finally got it. And then I say, okay, whenever you get resistance in something, like it's not working, and sometimes we keep trying and we keep trying. There's that saying, like, what insanity is, that we kind of keep doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that a different approach or a different way is going to work, and it just doesn't work. Excuse me, my voice. So that's kind of what resistance is. It's so I'm trying to think of a good example. So you may think that you are going to go after this great job and it's exactly what you want. You fill out the application, but then they call you and maybe there's scheduling issues or they have to, reschedule you. That might be sign number one. Okay. Finally, you may get your foot in the door, you get scheduled for a interview. And then the interviewer is late for the appointment. I'm just giving you some quick examples. It's not so much that it couldn't work out, but there's little details in there that the universe is telling you that, okay, we're warning you that this is probably not going to work out, but we're letting you kind of figure this out on your own. And you may continue to say, okay, well, this went wrong and that went wrong. I'm going to keep trying. And the interview goes well and you don't hear back maybe for a couple of weeks. They ask you maybe to come back in. There's, some other paperwork you need to. This is just an example. But there seems to be always some kind of roadblocks. And sooner or later, if you don't kind of see a light bulb doesn't go off and say, I'm getting too much resistance here. This doesn't seem like it's a good idea. And you kind of walk away from it. It's kind of like the universe is saying, yeah, you finally got it. Um, if you continue to kind of push and push, it's kind of like almost a tower moment. I'm talking tower language here, where ultimately, you just don't get the job, you know. It's just not the right time or the right fit, even though you may think it is. It's the universe telling you that that's not the path for you to go down at this time. I'm trying to think of, I have so many of my own experiences. Okay, so when I knew last year I was going to leave New York um, the beginning of May, and I had already planned on moving to New Hampshire. And I had made arrangements to get a roommate situation with a woman. in central New Hampshire, and I was so excited. I had got rid of all my stuff and packed up my Jeep and was ready to go. And on my way there, just so excited, playing my music in the car, and she called me and she's like, well, the landlord's not really too keen on me because she hadn't had a roommate in there on me doing that. So I'm like, what? And she says, well, and I was just like, oh my God, like, what am I gonna do? Not understanding that that wasn't the place for me to go at that time. And I had had my hopes on living in New Hampshire for so long. I had done so much research on all the different things you could do in New Hampshire. I had already had a headhunter looking for jobs for me in New Hampshire. I had gone there a few months before just to kind of get a feel for the area, and it just wasn't meant to be. So as you can see, what my channel is called, you can see where I ended up was in Maine. And I am so happy here. I'm so excited. It's the most beautiful state ever. But there was resistance, and I kept getting this resistance from spirit, and I couldn't understand why. And I stayed in New Hampshire for a while in some hotels, trying to figure out, okay, I got to find a place now, another place. And I kept getting resistance every time I would call um, different rental places. Somebody delayed me for days and days, kept saying, yeah, I'm going to get back to you tomorrow. And then after a while, something that I call spiritual navigation, it's like the universe said, okay, this is not where you're supposed to be. And I've kind of figured out that they want me in Maine. Spirit wants me to go to Maine. And that's exactly where I ended up. And this is where I'm supposed to be. And once I got here, everything just worked out. So understanding what resistance is and is keeping in mind when something isn't going and you keep hitting these roadblocks, these stumbling blocks, people are giving you pushback, that means that that's not your path. And it's really important for you to understand that because that will save you a whole lot of heartache. Okay. Believe me, take it from experience. I've learned that once after one or two times now that something little is pushing back, I know that I'm turning around. It's not the way I'm supposed to go. Okay. So please like, share, and subscribe. Um, I've written several courses on the ascension process. You can see those down in the link down in the description box. And I appreciate you being here.